Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be the Combat Series episode number 149 for you guys today. And to kick off the Combat Series this week, we'll start off in the world of wrestling inside the WWE world. And I'll be sharing my WrestleMania 42 Night 1 summary of Night 1's WrestleMania 42 card. So to kick off the show, you had a six-man tag team match. You had LA Knight teaming up with Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, taking on I Show Speed and the World Tag Team Champions Austin Theory and Logan Paul. LA Knight and the Usos defeated the team of I Show Speed, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul in a six-man tag team match. I mean, to kick off WrestleMania, I get it, getting global eyes on you, showing the first two matches, you should say, for free on ESPN television. This is the first time in WrestleMania history an hour has been free put on television, but they did it, and you did it with one of the most credible, most popular streamers in the world today in I Show Speed. So this was like an average six-man tag team match. Probably lasted like 6 to 8 minutes. An average six-man tag team match you could have seen an addition on Raw, episode edition of Raw, to be honest. And after the match, you had Logan Paul and Austin Theory turn on I Show Speed due to the fact that I Show Speed costed Logan Paul and Austin Theory the six-man tag team match due to some miscommunication. Logan Paul struck I Show Speed with the right hand, and after the miscommunication, that's when Logan Paul and Austin Theory basically turned on I Show Speed. But then LA Knight and the Usos came back to support the streamer, and I Show Speed had his Mania moment. They beat up Logan Paul, and then I Show Speed had a pretty good frog splash on Logan Paul, putting Logan Paul through the announcer's table to kick off WrestleMania that year. So I Show Speed, a person that has been training with an all-time great like Randy Orton, getting prepared to be in the WWE ring for his in-ring debut, a proper in-ring debut, rather than just getting speared during the 2025 Royal Rumble. But I guess that was a good way to start off the show. Credibility for ESPN and credible eyes on the product to see I Show Speed, one of the biggest streamers in the world, frog splash Logan Paul through an announce table. Next match, you had Jacob Fatu defeat Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. Now, that was actually a fun, entertaining, unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, and weapons were actually being used all over the place. Drew McIntyre, for the third year in a row, has went on social media during his WrestleMania matches. We've seen him doing at WrestleMania 40 in the opener against Seth Rollins Night 2, where he tweeted on Twitter saying he was bored at work. Did it the following year at WrestleMania 41 in his match with Damian Priest. This year at WrestleMania, did a live or a recorded video to put on Twitter and saying that he loves WrestleMania, basically tweeting and being a part of social media while on the job. So that was the third year in a row Drew McIntyre has done that. But there were some good spots in this match. Don't get me wrong, between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. I think they took the most of their opportunity with the time and the minutes that they were given in this match. Jacob Fatu hit a picture-perfect Samoan drop, throwing a 280-pound man like Drew McIntyre on his shoulders, throwing him like a rag doll in that ring. And Drew McIntyre was going high up in the air and hitting that high-flying move through the ropes. It's like a signature Swanton Bomb type of move where Drew McIntyre hits, flying over the top ropes and crashing and burning on Drew McIntyre. That's pretty impressive for a man that's nearly 300 pounds in the wrestling ring. And Drew McIntyre going head first. I like this spot too. Drew McIntyre going head first into the steel chair, followed up with Jacob Fatu hitting the picture-perfect moonsault on Drew McIntyre, which it was a really good near-fall spot in the match. A really good false finish. And then Jacob Fatu beating the hell out of Drew McIntyre with the steel chairs and the referee's own belt, like he was giving him a whooping, like Drew McIntyre was his own child out there in the ring. But Drew McIntyre out of nowhere hit a desperation claim war on Jacob Fatu. Was another good near fall spot and a false finish spot between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. And then the finishing sequences of the match, I thought that was really good, where Drew McIntyre pushed Jacob Fatu off the top rope, and Jacob Fatu went crashing and burning through the table on the outside of the ring. And then Jacob Fatu used the toolbox to hit Drew McIntyre in his skull, in his cranium, and that was actually a good throwback, a good callback, I should say, for some long-term story booking. And that was when CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had the Hell in a Cell match back in 2024. If you guys remember, Drew McIntyre was terrified of the toolbox when he seen it in the unsanctioned match between himself and Jacob Fatu. It gave him flashbacks of what happened back in 2024 between himself and CM Punk. So the finish of Jacob Fatu using the toolbox on Drew McIntyre, then going up to the top rope, hitting his finisher moonsault on Drew McIntyre, putting him through the table. That was a good sequence, a final good sequences of the match with Jacob Fatu, the correct winner, winning the match at WrestleMania. Now, Jacob Fatu now extends his record to 2-0 at WrestleMania, and last year in his debut defeated LA Knight to win the United States Championship, his first WWE title that he won. Well, actually his second, because you could go back to the tag team titles that he won with himself and Solo Sikoa. And now he just got the biggest WrestleMania win of his career, defeating a former world champion like Drew McIntyre. And if you watched Raw yesterday, the seeds are planted for Jacob Fatu to go after Roman Reigns and the World Heavyweight Championship and the next PLE taking place at Backlash. So the next match, you had Paige and Brie Bella defeat Nia Jax, the team of Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria to win the women's tag team titles in a fatal 4-way tag team match. Now, Paige returning to the WWE, that was actually pretty special. Now, I seen the reports and the spoilers on social media on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, that Paige has re-signed with the WWE. But when her music hit, when Nikki Bella said she could not go in the ring, that honestly gave me goosebumps, because Paige was a part of the women's revolution in wrestling. And she was a part of the whole revolution, no matter what product you follow, WWE, AEW, TNA. Women's wrestling back in 2014, 2015 changed forever. And Paige was a part of the revolution. So seeing her come back to the WWE back home, that was true goosebumps. And that was honestly a huge pop, a huge ovation that you could feel all the way from Vegas, watching around the world, that the WWE Universe still loves Paige after all these years. Yes, she wrestled in AEW, but the fact that she's back home now, that was a good WWE moment and a good WrestleMania moment. And she replaced Nikki Bella and helped Brie Bella win the Women's Tag Team Championships in this fatal 4-way tag team match. And there's several dream matches for Paige now that she's back with the WWE. You could have Paige versus Lyra Valkyria, Paige versus AJ Lee. They can run that feud back before both of these women hang it up. Paige versus Becky Lynch, rerun that feud. I think that would be really fun this time around, with Becky Lynch being the man and having the man persona. You can have Paige versus Bayley, Paige versus Stephanie Valkyrie, Paige versus Liv Morgan. You can even run back Paige versus Charlotte Flair. There's a lot on the table for Paige to do in her new WWE run, but this fatal 4-way women's tag team match was decent. And it really wasn't anything to rave home about other than Paige returning back to the WWE. And the ending sequence of the match, you had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss about to put away Paige and Brie Bella. And Nikki Bella got involved using the crutch, being on the outside of the ring. And then Alexa Bliss tried to hit the Twisted Bliss finisher off the top rope on Paige. Paige put her knees up, and Alexa Bliss went crashing and burning her sternum into Paige's knees, with Paige hitting the finishing DDT to win her return match to the company, and for her and Brie Bella to win the women's tag team titles. So that was pretty cool to see Paige return. We'll see what this unlikely tag team of Paige and Brie Bella will do as the women's tag team champions. Next match, you had Becky Lynch defeat AJ Lee to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Now, the beginning part of the match was all about storytelling between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. Was Becky Lynch finally going to figure out the code of how to defeat her kryptonite in AJ Lee? Because the whole world has seen it since AJ Lee has returned. Every match that she's been a part of, she has forced Becky Lynch to submit, up into that WrestleMania match between herself and Becky Lynch Saturday night. So AJ Lee tried to hit the Black Widow, tried to play mind games with Becky Lynch in the ring. She hit the manhandle slam on AJ Lee for a near fall after escaping the Black Widow submission hold. And then Becky Lynch was pissed off with Jessica Carr. Long-term storytelling was fun in the match between Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr. I can't remember the last time we had an in-ring wrestler and a referee have an ongoing rivalry with each other, but we saw it between Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr. And honestly, that was fun because Jessica Carr pushed Becky Lynch, and then after the push, AJ Lee hit Becky Lynch's finishing move, the manhandle slam on Becky Lynch, to get a close near fall, a false finish in the match. But Becky Lynch used Jessica Carr as a distraction. So AJ Lee went face first into the turnbuckle, and then Becky Lynch put away AJ Lee with the manhandle slam to win back the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Now, this match was under 10 minutes. I think they could have done much more with much more time, but Becky Lynch is now a 3-time Women's Intercontinental Champion. We'll see what she'll do on her third reign. She finally has defeated her kryptonite, AJ Lee, AJ Lee looks like she will take some time away from the WWE. So we'll see what's next for her down the line. Ooh, banger. Next match, Gunther and Seth Rollins. Gunther defeated Seth Rollins. Now, honestly, this was the match of the night for WrestleMania 42 Night 1 between Gunther and Seth Rollins. Honestly, one of the only bright spots for Night 1 this year at WrestleMania, with Gunther and Seth Rollins stealing the damn show. And the crazy part was, with Gunther hitting the missile dropkick and the power bomb by Gunther to start off the match, and then Seth Rollins beating the hell out of Gunther all over the place on the outside of the ring. It was action-packed from the opening bell all the way to the end of the match. And the spots were really good in this match between Gunther and Seth Rollins. The buckle bomb, power bomb by Seth Rollins, followed by the clothesline by Gunther instantly, with a good counter and a good reversal by the two respective wrestlers. I mean, this was a hard-hitting match as well. You had the chops, the slaps, the two wrestlers spitting in each other's faces, and I like the spots in this match. I like the spot where Seth Rollins reversed into the pedigree, then hit the stomp on Gunther, only to earn a near fall count with a false finish. I was all in for that sequence with Seth Rollins and Gunther. Then Seth Rollins hit the suplex off the top rope on Gunther. Or excuse me, I should say hit the suplex off the top rope, and then followed by the Falcon Arrow. And that was a near fall. And then after the near fall count, Gunther quickly reversed it and got the upper hand on Seth Rollins, locking in his sleeper hold submission on Seth Rollins in the middle of the ring. So this match was really good. And then Gunther went to the outside of the ring and hit the power bomb on the ring apron on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins going back first into the ring apron on the outside of the ring. Then he had a power bomb on Seth Rollins, power bombing Seth Rollins through on the announcer's table. And then Seth Rollins hit a pedigree on Gunther on the announcer's table. Absolute cinema. And then Seth Rollins hit a stomp on Gunther on the announcer's table. And then Braun Breaker came out as Seth Rollins was looking to put away Gunther. Braun Breaker returned, like I predicted. Braun Breaker returned and speared the hell out of Seth Rollins while the referee was occupied. And that ended up costing Seth Rollins the match, because once Seth Rollins figured out what the hell was going on, Gunther locked in his finishing submission hold, put Seth Rollins to sleep, and Gunther was victorious at WrestleMania. So now the seeds are planted for Seth Rollins to feud with Braun Breaker, the new leader of the Division, and it seems like that feud between Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and the Division will carry all the way to SummerSlam. So buckle up if you're ready for this feud, or get ready for it if you're not ready for this feud. It's going to happen all the way up until the SummerSlam with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. Next match, you had Liv Morgan defeat Stephanie Vaquer to win the Women's World Championship. Now, the match started off with the women throwing hands, bad blood in this rivalry between Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer, with some personal promos and some brawls that happened on the road to WrestleMania. And Stephanie Vaquer started the match with a fast-paced style, hitting the Devil's Kiss very early, getting the Vegas crowd into the match very early on. And she also hit the double underhook move, with Liv Morgan's back going back first into Stephanie Vaquer's knee in the match. And then also Liv Morgan almost got beat by Stephanie Vaquer, with Stephanie Vaquer hitting the Liv Morgan's finishing move on Liv Morgan in the middle of the ring. And Liv Morgan, obviously, everybody knew she was going to get help from her Judgment Day sisters of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez in the match. And she hit the Oblivion with the distraction by Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez for a false finish, a very close 2.5 count. And Liv Morgan used the distraction to win the match. Once again, she used the distraction of her friend to hit the code breaker on Liv Morgan, or Liv Morgan hit the code breaker on Stephanie Vaquer off the top rope. And then she put away Stephanie Vaquer with the Oblivion finisher to regain the Women's World Championship. And Liv Morgan is now a 3-time Women's World Champion. And in the main event, you had Cody Rhodes successfully retain the WWE Championship here against Randy Orton. Now, honestly, I did like the match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. It was a really old school match between the two veteran wrestlers. And yeah, the match was confusing. Yeah, the WWE missed the opportunity to pull the trigger for a double turn because it was obviously there with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. You could have turned Cody Rhodes heel and Randy Orton going back to face, but that was not the case. And the ending of the match was not good. So I can understand if fans don't like the match, but I personally did like the match, minus all the celebrity shenanigans and the unpredictable finish, or I should say predictable finish, that fans really didn't like. It was a great start to the match. I mean, honestly, they had the one-on-one match without the celebrities. Obviously, you had Cody Rhodes getting jumped by Pat McAfee and Randy Orton before the opening bell. And then Cody Rhodes hit the crossroads on Pat McAfee, getting rid of Pat McAfee. And then Jelly Roll on the outside of the ring hit an elbow on Pat McAfee. And both of these celebrities went crashing and burning through the announcer's table. The celebrities were removed, and then we got that one-on-one match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, with Pat McAfee being stretched out of the arena at the time before the match even began. So it was a slow-paced match. Like I said, I did like this match. It was like an old-school wrestling match. I can understand why fans didn't like it due to the, I wouldn't say shitty finish, but the very confusing finish. And like I just said a few moments ago, the double turn opportunity was there to turn Cody Rhodes heel and Randy Orton face as this match went on. And the in-ring storytelling was there in the match, the student versus the teacher. And Cody Rhodes did a good job exposing Randy Orton's surgically repaired back. I mean, you had submissions, submission holds, and backdrops for Cody Rhodes targeting Randy Orton's back, honestly wrestling like a heel. And you had the huge suplex that Randy Orton even put his back on the line, hitting that huge suplex from off the top rope on Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes was honestly showing no mercy to Randy Orton. And that goes back to that promo in Madison Square Garden between Cody Rhodes and Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon told Cody Rhodes, you're going to have to go to a place that you've never been before in order to defeat the Viper version of Randy Orton. So Cody Rhodes was having that killer instinct in this match between himself and Randy Orton. And that's the reason why he got the job done in the ring. He pushed Randy Orton into the ring post on the outside of the ring to bust open the Viper Randy Orton on the outside of the ring. Cody Rhodes hit Randy Orton's own signature DDT through the ropes, planting Randy Orton's head into the canvas. And Randy Orton, being desperate to hit Cody Rhodes with his own finisher, the Crossroads. That was a really good moment with a false finish. And then a few moments later, Cody Rhodes even hit a picture-perfect RKO on Randy Orton for a false finish, a really good near-fall spot as well. So, again, I did like the match. And then Randy Orton, after getting poked in the eyes by Cody Rhodes, who was wrestling like a heel in the match, Randy Orton couldn't see and just had an RKO out of nowhere on Charles Robinson, the referee. And then Cody Rhodes, Charles Robinson was down, and then Pat McAfee came out trying to assist Randy Orton to a victory and got the close 2.5 count, and Randy Orton just getting pissed off, turn around and RKO Pat McAfee, in the neck brace and all. And then Cody Rhodes capitalized on the distraction with Cody Rhodes and the Crossroads to retain the WWE Championship. Now, what I didn't like was the finish, and what I didn't like is if Randy Orton was going to turn on Pat McAfee, what the hell was the point of adding the celebrities like Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll to the main event scene of one of the biggest WrestleMania matches of recent memory between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton? This was a match nearly 20 years in the making, and we had to throw celebrities in the match to sell night one. I don't like that, and I know TKO was all over that, had their handprints and fingerprints all over that. But then the post-match beatdown, I didn't like, and it feels like we just got a real reset to this feud between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, because why would you have Randy Orton bash Cody Rhodes to the WWE Championship and then hit a picture-perfect punt on Cody Rhodes after he lost the match? What was the point? What was the point of closing out night one like that? So, again, night one did not feel like WrestleMania. Night two definitely felt like WrestleMania, but night one just felt like a letdown. And the only thing that I really liked was the Seth Rollins and Gunther match of the night, clearly. The Page return and Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, I did like. But I did not like the ending, and I didn't like the post-match sequences. But WrestleMania 42 night one did not feel like WrestleMania at all. Bad night in the office for the WWE.